Hi, my name is Matthew Coy. I am an agriculture technology and production management major, and we are an autumn sown legumes group. This is our AFS 401 capstone class project, and we've been tasked with seeing how autumn sown legumes can help soil in Eastern Washington. And my team is made up of Isaac Honeyman, who is an agriculture and food security major, Scott Kimball, who is an ag TM major, Michael Dolly Slager, who is an organic and sustainable agriculture major, and Donnie Eller Slick, who is an ag TM major.
One major issue faced by Washington agriculture is the long-term use of synthetic fertilizers and excessive tillage in Eastern Washington dryland farming systems, which has led to a widespread acidification of the soil and low soil organic matter and heavy erosion. Our solution would be to incorporate autumn sown legumes, which can serve as a viable tool in helping to mitigate many of the issues faced by dryland farmers. And their addition to cropping systems can add value in the form of long-term savings as well as even direct profit.
So our main collaborator for this project was Dr. Steve Van Vliet. He is a WSU Extension agent. Is based out of Colfax, Washington. He has been the forefront of the soil fertility issues in Eastern Washington. He focuses on low pH in the soil over the last few decades, low soil organic matter, and wind and water erosion that have been increasing. The way he's researched by doing this is seeing how fall sown legumes can help solve these issues and see what the best growing practices can be, and showing how the benefits of adding winter peas into your crop rotation can help other crops as well.
Over the semester, we have interviewed many people, including Robert McKinney, a farmer from Walla Walla, extension specialists like Dr. Steve Van Vliet and Dr. Paul Carter, seed breeder Kirk Braunwerk, and soil expert Dave Huggins with the USDA.
Dr. Paul Carter is one of the men that we interviewed. He is also a WSU Extension agent, but in Columbia County. He works right alongside with Dr. Steve Van Vliet. We interviewed him in Walla Walla, Washington, where we ran soil tests alongside him on some of his test plots, and soil pHs ranged from 5.1 to 6.6. He's a huge advocate for soil health in Eastern Washington, and with his winter pea test plots, he's looking for a balance in pH and positive bacteria and macronutrients in the soil. One of the biggest things he looks for in soil is biodiversity, and seeing from his previous tests before he started his winter pea trials that soil was lacking biodiversity for nutrients. Adding winter peas into the rotations has been able to boost nutrients like aluminum and boron that have been lost in synonymous cropping rotations.
All right, we also interviewed Dr. Dave Huggins, who is a USDA soil scientist. He's actually located on, his office is located on the WSU campus, so he's pretty close to home for us. His research is in no-till systems and interactions of different attributes of an agroecosystem and how they interact with each other. And some examples of that are like interactions between like a specific crop being grown and mechanical, just different technologies that are being tested. He also manages the Palouse Conservation Field Station and the Cook Agronomy Farm in Pullman. We conducted an interview with him to gain background knowledge about the history of soil health in dryland Eastern Washington. And he has told us that over the last about century that the soil pH has decreased. And there's also been a large decrease in organic matter. And when we also asked his opinion on how he thinks peas could potentially help soil in Eastern Washington, he told us about the moisture benefits and how they can help with the organic matter.
We interviewed Robert McKinney at his dryland wheat farm in Walla Walla. He is one of the earliest to incorporate the autumn sown legumes into his cropping rotation, and he has seen higher yields in his winter wheat fields where he had winter peas planted the year before, and the peas have also helped boost his organic material percentage in the last couple years also. The soil health deterioration, the acidification, the use of synthetic fertilizers over time have slowly acidified your soil. Traditional cash crops such as your wheat prefer a pH around 6.4. The organic material that has been lost over the years is from baling up your straw and also using excessive tillage, and it has just slowly decreased your organic material. And the wind erosion in the area has depleted or has moved your soil from one place to another, which also adds to the problem.
All right, and for some of the statistics that we observed with the soil issues, we found that the current soil pH in the dryland Eastern Washington systems are about 5.1. This data was taken from a soil sample we took on Robert McKinney's farm, and when compared to a nearby undisturbed graveyard, the pH there was about 6.6 to 7.4. They decided to test the graveyard because it hasn't been disturbed, and it's the closest to native pH that they could find. Also, with the decrease in pH, anything under a pH of 5.4, you'd typically see a 30% yield reduction in peas. And another issue is the removal and baling of organic matter. And when you remove wheat straw from the system, you're removing about 19.5 pounds of nitrogen per acre. And when you remove pea straw, you'll remove about 103 pounds per acre of nitrogen. And one of the big driving issues of the pH issues in the soil is the addition of synthetic nitrogen. There was also a bunch of benefits that we found when talking with the different researchers. We found that moisture retention is one of the biggest benefits. The sheer biomass of the pea in the in the field contributes to the retention of moisture. And they're also highly efficient at using water, so they're not going to pull a lot of the moisture from the ground and use it. They can also add about 70 to 80 pounds of nitrogen per acre, and they're a very quality source of soil organic matter. The carbon to nitrogen ratio of winter pea straw is about 13 to 1, and anything under 25 to 1 gives you a net mineralization in the soil, which just means that it's bacteria converting organic proteins to plant available nitrogens. And that's something that is seen with winter pea residue. They can also help prevent soil erosion by both water and wind. Just having a crop in the field kind of anchors the soil in place, and it's not going to go anywhere. And it also, all of these benefits that you see to the soil helps other crops too. The water becomes more available for future crops. The nitrogen becomes available for future crops. And the soil erosion can help keep the soil in the field. And they can also outcompete weeds at the beginning of the growing season in the fall when they're planted. There was not a whole lot of herbicides needed to control the weeds.
So if you're thinking of adding this growing practice to your cropping system, for planting, you want to plant usually in the peak moisture, which is in the fall in the Eastern Washington area. You want to plant it about 2.5 inches for depth or more. You do about 300,000 seeds per acre. The way winter peas run on for rotations, it's a 4-year rotation. So you usually go winter peas, winter wheat, barley, and then a follow crop. Peas also benefit all other crops, which have been seen from growers that have implemented that into their cropping systems. Winter peas are not suited for every system. Irrigated systems being one of them, just because there's more luxury crops that you can grow. But for crop soils around the Eastern Washington dryland area, you don't want to plant in high clay soils because that holds a lot of water, and peas aren't a big fan of having a lot of water on their roots. It's okay to plant in low rainfall areas just because peas are so efficient with their water use, and neutral pH is ideal for the peas. Economics and markets for winter peas. The domestic market is pretty small. It's corn and soy substitutes, which would be starch. Enhanced synthetic meats, which is like your perfect burger, so where you have half meat, half a vegetable, and then dog food mix. International markets consist of East Asian noodles, which you can have a substitution for your traditional flour noodle.
As far as our recommendation, before considering adding this crop to your cropping system or rotation, it's important to make sure that you meet a certain set of specific criteria, such as having a soil pH that is above 5.4, not planting on a non-north facing slope, low clay soils, and if you meet these requirements and you're interested in reducing your overall fertilizer costs, increasing your soil health and water holding capacity, broadening your herbicide options, and diversifying your sources of income, then winter peas might be a right choice for you.
So one of the main varieties we looked into was Vale, which is a new variety, and it's shown to be pretty competitive with the other varieties that have been out for a while. Early fall seeding is probably the best option. You're going to be seeding right into moisture typically, and you're going to be looking at a higher yield. Late fall seeding, it's also dormant seeding, and that helps to combat drier areas. And also if you are farming in an area with a lot of elk, it can also combat with elk damage. Seeding, you want to seed a minimum of 2.5 inches deep. You're going to have better winter hardiness with your seeds. The most typical grain drills will work just fine for seeding these, but if you direct seed, you're also going to have better winter hardiness. You're looking at 300,000 seeds per acre, which is only 70% of spring pea seeding rate, and you don't need fertilizer when you're seeding winter peas. So this is a graph from 2015 to 2019, and it shows the top 3 varieties. And as you can see there, Vale tops it at 105% yield, and it is higher than Windham and Granger. Research problems. Herbicide carryover can be a really big issue with peas. The winter peas handle it a little bit better than the spring peas, but you still need to really pay attention to what herbicides you're putting on your wheat. They bloom for about 6 to 8 weeks, so weevils can be an issue. Typically, you're looking at 2 insecticide applications to handle the weevils. Winter peas are not for everybody, and they're soil specific. North-facing slopes peas don't grow very well on north-facing slopes. Also bottoms with high moisture levels because it drowns out the seeds. Not growing legumes in your rotation can lead to plant diseases and weed problems, so it's important to incorporate some sort of legume at least into your cropping rotation. Some potential solutions are planning ahead, doing your research, and planning at appropriate times, and those will all help you ensure a healthy, high-yielding winter pea crop. Some final thoughts. Winter peas have been proven to be a good rotational crop in Eastern Washington. Some benefits of adding winter peas include weed management. Weed management is really big because you're going to be putting on different herbicides. Using broadleaf herbicides, you're going to be targeting the grassy weeds. Another one is you're increasing soil health. You're putting back a lot of organic matter. You're decreasing erosion by leaving behind the straw. You're adding valuable nutrients to the soil. As Isaac said, 70 to 80 pounds of nitrogen. They also use less moisture than wheat, so you're leaving back some moisture. Winter peas can yield about 120 to 160% more than spring peas, so you're going to be pulling off some better yielding crops. Organic matter is priceless, so baling should not be used when implementing peas because you're going to be taking away a lot of that organic matter. And Robert McKinney said, the bigger your winter pea crop is, the bigger your winter wheat crop will be the following year, which is huge and should be looked into. And these are some of our sources that we used.
Thanks for watching.